everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Top 10. I am John Rocha.
And I am Matt Knost, and we are here to bring you another week of sweet movie discussion action. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Recovering from Vegas. Finally woke up this morning and was back to normal. So it was a hell of a trip. 5 days in that place. It's been a while since I've been to a convention, a con of any kind. So I forgot how exhausting it can be going from place to place, especially Vegas when you're walking long distances, even within the hotel. It takes you 5 minutes from your room to get to the place as you're hustling across the floor, and you're walking through, casinos, you're walking through restaurants, you're walking through all these places and a bunch of people just to get there. And then you're shuttled into with a bunch of people. I think it was 6,000 to 7,000 people were inside that arena at any time for any of the productions. And then you're sitting with the press who are like constantly writing and clickety clacking the whole time. So it was a lot to do. Plus driving 4.5 hours there from San Diego and 4.5 back or 5 back. It was just exhausting overall, but a great time getting to see so much stuff, Matt, for sure. And then drove to LA yesterday for some business up there. So finally today I woke up. I'm like, okay, now I'm okay. I'm rested. So yeah. How are you?
I'm not too shabby. Where'd you end up staying?
Caesars. Snyder told me they had a rate there for the conference, so they removed the resort fee, which was
Okay.
nice. Yeah, and they dropped the rate per room per night rather. They dropped it a little bit to around 150, 175, and then jacked it up in the last night because it's closer to the weekend.
Yeah, you're always going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. It was a big room. It was a nice room, man. It had like a mini living room in it. For a one-bedroom king. It was pretty nice, and once I figured out how to hook up the Ethernet cord, eventually I was able to record some stuff or some reactions and things like that or get on social media. So that's the key that I would tell people. If you're going to Vegas, their Wi-Fi is spotty as fuck. So bring an Ethernet cord and look for the thing in the room to connect the Ethernet cord to. It'll be a lifesaver for you if you're trying to do any work in Las Vegas. So, but yeah, a really good and clean. No problem. They cleaned it every day. I didn't have any issues with no smells, nothing. So
sweet.
Good.
Yeah, I've never stayed at Caesars, so I assumed it was one of the nicer ones.
Yeah.
Just
massive.
It's it's on the good side of the strip. They are with all the residencies and whatnot, they're obviously putting money into the joint as opposed to others that are just look decrepit by comparison.
Yes.
Although the Vegas changes so much every couple of years at this point that I'm sure even some of the ones the last time I was there was like 3 years ago. I'm sure there's already been drastic changes to, that's they did a remodel or this, that, and the other, especially with COVID. Now's the perfect time. Hey, we can do all the things we've been wanting to do.
Yeah.
Because eventually these restrictions will be lifted and we can get right back to stealing people's money legally.
Yeah, I didn't gamble once the whole time I was there. I didn't want to risk it, man.
I talked to Snyder and he's like, $60. That's all I gambled.
Yeah.
I was like, Matt, I'm not much of a gambler myself. I don't mind doing it, but at the same time, it's not something that I tailor my trip like that around. It would not be, I got to gamble. I'm gambling from this time to this time. Just like, if you want to go, let's go. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather play poker because then at least you can get a few hours out of it.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's a good point, actually. Yeah.
If I'm gonna lose the money, which I more than likely am,
right,
might as well try and get as much enjoyment out of it as I possibly can.
Yeah,
like the people that play slots don't really make a lot of sense to me, other than if you just don't have to think about it, the brain just completely tuning out and just like I can pull a lever or punch a button, I'm good to go. All right.
Yeah, I mean, but it was, seeing a bunch of people that, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's an unusual collection of characters in Vegas, like people say, for sure. People wearing all kinds of stuff, from like the highest end suits to like shorts with holes in them and sandals and shit. You just see a collection of people sitting at those tables.
Yeah, it's the worst cross section of America.
It really is.
It really is. Like people think of it as this glitz and glamour. Like that's kind of there. Yeah. But it's like Hollywood during the day. It looks like shit.
You're right.
Yeah. Vegas is fucking gross.
Yeah, we got the first 6 episodes for season 2 of Hacks, and we watched them last night. It was great, by the way. But the shots from Vegas that they have in the show, I'm like, that is from a really good distance, and you
Sure,
are
of
making
course.
it look so
Glamorous.
glamorous. It's like
Yeah.
once you get down to the street level, it is not glamorous in any way, shape, or form. So I just
No.
find that to be fascinating, man.
Yeah, walk to any of the how many ever major casinos there
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
and that's really what Vegas is. Like, go to the downtown area, which they're trying to revitalize,
right, right.
which is like, this is actual true proper Vegas. And, yeah, I mean, it's the weirdest, and then you also get people at their worst because they're
Oh,
trying to have the most memorable experience of my life, and you're like, "Dude, it's just another fucking town."
yeah. And it's like, oh
And
god, they get
yeah,
disposable hell. You're right about that.
yeah, just, "Oh, man, I had the craziest time in Vegas." You're like, "Alright, it's you could have done that in any town, really."
Yeah.
Well, most of it.
The last day and a half I was there, they were prepping for the draft because the draft was that Friday.
Yeah.
So, I left that Friday and he was, and there was a bunch of people walking around with fucking shirts and jerseys and shit. And I got into an elevator with this older couple. I mean, I would say they're in their late 60s, man. And they were just regaling me with stories of all the ESPN personalities they'd run into and had them sign their shirts and stuff like that, like Irvin, Trey Wingo, Reese Davis, all these people that they were running into and talking about. And it's just like blown away by this. Like, oh, this is such a big deal to some people. I forget that being there at the draft is a huge deal. I don't know if I would ever do that now at this age. When I was younger, maybe it would be fun, but not now. So seeing someone in their 60s with his wife doing it was certainly an interesting experience, man.
I've known several people that have gone to the draft.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I know a couple that went this year. You know, a large chunk of my family lives in Nashville, and that's where it was last year.
Right on.
So, my brother and other people went down to that. That's in your town though. That's a
Right.
little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, traveling for the draft, I have heard of people. It's not something I agree. It's like I don't watch college football anymore,
Yeah.
so I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have the slightest clue until they take a snap in the pros. So it's all lost on me. And people be like, "Oh, who do you want the Bears to get?" And be like, "Well, here are our weaknesses," but I couldn't tell you a single fucking thing that we need, like a player we should target. I don't know anybody's name.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. That's starting to happen to me too. And I was deep into college football for decades. But this last year, I barely paid attention. Even on the show when we used to do Game Time on the Outlaw Nation channel, I'd have a hard time talking about college football because I wasn't watching it with the same kind of consistency and passion as I had in the past. The truth is because other things are just on my mind now. Other things are grabbing my attention. So I don't have the same commitment to it as I did in the past, which I think sucks for me because I love college football and I used to love college basketball. I mean, I still do to a degree, but I don't watch it with anywhere near the time or passion that I used to in the past, which I hate it. I hate that I'm moving past it a little bit. Yeah, the pro stuff, always on top of that shit. But the college stuff, for whatever reason, I just have kind of moved past it, So it sucks.
Yeah, but at the same time, for me, it's the product.
Mm.
So when I watched college football or basketball, especially college basketball, it's like if you have one superior player, it's not even close.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true.
And in football, that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
But you do pad your schedule with bullshit teams that just like, why are you playing this other than just to get an easy win?
Yeah.
To rack it up for the end of the season. But then you watch the pros and you're like, dude, did you see so-and-so make a catch? Like, that was amazing. Yeah. That was only the second game of the day. And then there's 3 more that night. And that's what you get with the pros.
Yeah.
Just like the level is infinitely better.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like watching, it's some independent film and appreciating what they're able to do on a limited budget on actors that may not have the seasoning and be like, oh yeah, like Chris Nolan's early work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you'd be like, yeah. And once he got a budget, look at the amazing things he can do with actors who are fantastic and whatever. It's like, yeah, well, you could tell that he has a steady hand behind the, the lens, but I don't know. I got over the appreciating and I'd rather just marvel at the spectacle.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And we have Paul Cree and Matthew Jasso joining us right now. We got 4 of you joining us, but those 2 are commenting in the chat. Paul saying, I've only been to Vegas once and stayed at Excalibur.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hasso's saying, "Yeah, Paul, that was my one and only time, and glad I went with my wife. Had I gone in my youth when I was single, I can't even imagine the kind of trouble I would have gotten into. Yeah, for sure, for sure. That is a town where you can get into a shit ton of trouble as a young person. I can see it happening all over the place, man. Because you're testing your limits. If you're built that way, you're testing how far you can go, and there's so many avenues to explore your tastes, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
So I think that absolutely that town could cause you some trouble down the
Could
road.
corrupt you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I thankfully when I was a drunk, I was broke. So going to Vegas was never an option. I went twice ever before I quit drinking, and it was well before I was a full on,
Yeah,
booze hound.
right.
So
right.
yeah, I'm thankful for that because now I just go and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would rather if I'm going to spend my vacation time or go somewhere on a trip, I'd infinitely rather go so many other places.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I got the full experience out of it though. I mean, the Cinemacon was great, but I didn't go see any of the shows, and I should have gone to see at least one of the shows. And I don't know, either being tired, being lazy, being exhausted from a con, as opposed to in my 30s or 40s doing a con. I don't know what it was, but it just kind of like wore me out. And so by the time 7 or 8 o'clock, Jeff will tell you, like I didn't go out with him other than the second to last night we were there. We went out at a great steak dinner. But by the time it was done, I went right up to bed at 10 o'clock instead of going to go play the slots with him or do something with him for a couple hours. Where in the past I totally would have. And so I'm a little mad at myself that I didn't take advantage to go see. Like I did want to see Wayne Newton for the Kitsch Factor, want to see the Beatles thing, want to see a couple other things that I mentioned, and it just didn't work out. Van Morrison's coming in November, and I'm considering that, like going to see now that I've been in that Coliseum at Caesars, which is a fucking incredible space. The sound is insane.
yeah, it'd have to be.
Yeah, I think I might consider it like taking Lindley for a weekend, and we go there and drive up on a Friday, stay there overnight, go to see the concert on Saturday night, then drive back on Sunday. So maybe I'll do that, but like I can see it being like a weekend, but multiple days, it just kind of wears on you, man.
Yeah, there's no show that goes there that I've ever said to myself, I mean, it's been a long time. I went and saw,
Right.
I specifically traveled there one time for a show. It was when I was 20.
Okay.
So I couldn't even enjoy, it's like 19 or 20. I couldn't even enjoy all of what Vegas has to offer.
Wow.
I almost wasn't able to get a hotel room too.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, flew out there and didn't have a hotel room. None of my friends did.
Wow.
Well, you figure it's Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a fucking million hotels, and I was the only one with a credit card,
Yeah.
and they were reluctant to take my credit card. I don't remember why. I just remember it was a pain in the ass. And that's when I stayed at Circus one night and Riviera the next. Because those were at the end of the strip. They were also the cheaper. But they were like, yeah, it's fine. And they took my card. I don't remember for the life of me. It was so long ago. But
yeah,
that's the only time I've specifically gone to Vegas for a concert.
Alex Russell said, I was in Vegas last month. MGM Grand Pool Complex is awesome. Yes, it has a lazy river. Ooh.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I would do that if it was there, but I'm not going to go to Vegas to go. I'll go to fucking what's the one out in Diamond Head that Bill and Ted's is based on?
Oh, I don't know. What you mean, like a show?
No, the water park.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a huge water park right there that I could go to.
Okay.
Or I think Magic Mountain has one as well.
Right.
But I don't know that I have a single friend that would go with me. I would still go. I like those. The huge slides and stuff. That's fun.
Yeah, those are cool. Yeah.
I mean, but I haven't done one since I was like 20, I think 27 or 8 was the last time I went to any of those.
Wow.
Well, I'll still go to amusement parks, but it's really difficult as an adult to find somebody else to be like, hey, you want to strap on a bathing suit and go run around with a bunch of 10-year-olds? It's not the easiest endeavor. I don't have, most of my friends will look at me side-eyed and be like, no.
Why are you going?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's fun. It's hot. Why is this weird? I want to go pee in somebody else's pool. It's but
Why are you making me feel weird about it? I mean,
yeah. I just want to strip down to my bathing suit and run around.
Around a bunch of children. What's wrong with that? Yeah,
A
right.
bunch of 12 and 14-year-olds who are acting too cool for school, but they reluctantly want to have as much fun as you do.
Oh boy.
Try and cut in front of line in front of you, you know?
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I would go. If we want to do a top 10 meetup and we all meet at a water park, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's fucking do it.
We'll do a live show and then we'll do the rides at the water park with mics. Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. How are the playoffs going for you there, Matt? Our NBA check-in here. How are the playoffs going for you, buddy boy?
We're starting round 2. All the teams that you thought would make it out of the first round pretty much made it out of the first round.
Pretty much, yeah. The Wolves were a little pesky, but in the end,
sure.
I mean, they had the lead in both those games, dude.
3 games. They had the double-digit lead in the fourth quarter.
Fuck, man, that's a shame. But then again, if you're the Wolves, you're like, look, we got something to build on. We got, we can do this. We just got to get maybe 1 or 2 more guys that can really, really help. And now that we've had this playoff experience and seasoning, we'll come back a little stronger next year, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe it's a Phoenix or a Memphis situation where young guys show growth, young guys explode next year. Although next year, if everybody's healthy, the West just got infinitely deeper. Once Zion comes back, you got the Clippers. The Lakers are going to attempt to do something. It's like,
yeah.
It's still going to be difficult. Utah is going to blow it up, and who knows what the Trailblazers are going to be. But I don't think Utah makes the playoffs next year. So there's one spot, but
that's true.
It's still going to be frisky. But yeah, everybody. Toronto was the only one that I thought had a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
She did. Going into Game 6, I was watching and I was like, they're holding their own. And then the third quarter, the Sixers just blew the doors off, and there was not a whole lot. Yeah. And but now Embiid's out for at least games 1 and 2. So that's it looks, if they can steal one of those, that's huge.
I really don't think they can.
Hell no, I don't think they can.
I mean, because James Harden, versus Jimmy Butler, that doesn't seem like.
No. When does James Harden step up into adversity?
In the playoffs, especially.
Yeah.
When has he ever stepped up?
He's the best at front running.
Oh, yes.
He's the best. Yeah. You're up by 12. Boom. Here comes a step back and another step back, and he's amazing. If you're down by 5, I think he's going to shrug it off and just call it a loss. Like, Jesus, man, there's still 2 quarters to go here. You're not going to fucking try?
All right. Tomorrow. We can play him a couple days.
Yes. Yeah. But that Memphis Golden State game last night was fantastic.
Oh, dude. Okay. And that's a fucking flagrant. Don't tell me that's not a flagrant. That's a flagrant. Draymond.
It's
exactly
true.
What he's fucking doing. So,
his history indicates that he knew what he was doing.
Yes, he did.
I don't think he should be ejected for that.
Okay.
But at the same time, if that was his first offense, I think it would be something we all be up in arms about.
I agree. 1,000%.
But the fact that it's Draymond, it's kind of like, maybe you didn't mean to hit him in the face. I don't think so. But you haven't really built up enough goodwill in that regard.
He's the only one that does it, Matt. That's the thing that frustrates me. He's the only one that pulls off the most insane bullshit moves and says they're a basketball play. Go fuck yourself. The kick out with the leg, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Punching LeBron in the balls.
Punching LeBron in the balls. And then he was on the mic, it's my reputation. That's what got me this. Yes, but
the reputation you built.
Yeah, exactly.
His real problem is if he gets 2 more flagrant ones or 1 more flagrant 2, he's suspended a game.
Wow.
Yeah. Welcome to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
you could argue is what cost them the title that year.
Yes. 100%. The momentum shifted.
Yep.
And he showed up in Game 7. He was arguably the best Warrior on the court that series in Game 7.
Yeah.
But still, they had lost that. I mean, they're up. They're going to crush them. And it just changed the entire dynamic.
Yeah, I know this is a bigger discussion to have. Maybe we can have it in 2 minutes. Like, how do you assess the titles for LeBron? Like, the San Antonio one took a miracle bounce and great heads up by Chris Bosh to throw it out to Ray Allen.
Sure.
And then the Golden State one, it's the balls and the Draymond Green with a bunch of balls. The Lakers one is during the pandemic. Like, is there one that you're just like, or is there two or three championships that you're like, wow, he really owned that shit? Because I mean, even the 3-1, as I said, is marred by the Draymond Green ejection.
Yeah, but at the same time, they never gave up.
It's true.
So to come back from 3-1, the only team that's ever done it,
yeah,
in the finals, no less, with all the pressure in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I still think the Warriors win that, but it doesn't matter. They won.
Yeah.
And the team was at full strength, for a couple of those games to close, and they still beat them. So, I think that's a legitimate one. They're all legitimate. Even the bubble one, it's like that's a very specific set of circumstances, and they managed to pull everybody together, even with like Avery Bradley choosing not to go to the bubble, and they still weathered losing a player.
Yeah.
Every championship has that stuff. I think the Warriors beat the Raptors if they don't have.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Even if Clay stays healthy, I think the Warriors win that. Doesn't matter.
Especially if Clay stays healthy, they win that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agree with you, Matt.
But if all three of them are still out there for the entire series, I don't believe in my heart of hearts that Toronto could remotely match the firepower.
I think
doesn't matter though.
I think the Thunder one is the only one that is without any kind of asterisk or any kind of possible argument.
Yeah, they were the much better team. The Thunder were so young.
Yeah.
That
just interesting.
It was a look towards wow, these guys are going to be a real problem, and then through injuries and Oklahoma City being cheap for 1 year.
Yeah.
They would have paid tax for 1 year. And instead of doing that, they shipped out James Harden, and it was just like that was the downward spiral for that team.
You remove the buffer between Russell and Durant. Once you remove the buffer, they were eventually going to implode. Yeah.
Ugh. And also having somebody that good off the bench coming in and being able to score 20 consistently is fucking huge.
Yeah. And look, this is no knock on LeBron. I mean, LeBron has taken so many teams to the finals. He's been in the playoffs so many times. And look, they won those championships largely because LeBron mentally kept them in those series when it looked tough or when it looked like it wasn't possible. So, yes, it relied on a couple of outside factors or a couple of lucky bounces. But in the end, they still got the job done. So, I mean, like you said, they're all legitimate. I just feel like that was the only dominating one was one.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy too, but I think that exists for all championships.
Yeah.
Because for years, people were pointing out, the Warriors lucked out with health. Certain teams along the way were missing, like Chris Paul is down for the Clippers and whatever else. I'm like, that's part of this.
Right.
We're going through it right now with the resiliency of some teams to soldier through.
Yeah.
And, Milwaukee beat Boston last night, and Chris Middleton is still out, and that was going to be, to me, like the biggest deciding factor. And now the two Jays shot pretty poorly for Boston.
Bucks played good defense on them.
Yeah. I mean, Giannis and Lopez were giving no quarter to those guys when they were playing them, and then you still have Drew Holiday. It's just injuries are part of it, and right now Milwaukee is playing well. So if Philly wins 1 of 2 in Miami, that'd be wildly impressive.
Yeah.
We'll see. And then the, Phoenix against Dallas, that should be a good series.
Yeah.
And
Luka's good.
Still favor Phoenix, but should be a good series. Luka has a team that's pretty solidly designed around him right now.
Yeah, and Phoenix showed some issues in that first round that we haven't seen all year. So there are possibilities.
And Book with a few more days of rest. Hopefully his hammy is back to full strength and we get a legit series.
Yeah.
But yeah, second round starting.
I think the Bucks are going to win 4-1 in that series. I just have a feeling they're just not
over the seas.
Yeah.
I think Boston.
You think it goes 7, 6?
Oh, I think this is going to be a tight. That defense is so legit that you assume there's going to be a couple of games where it's just like you can't get through them, and then if Brown and Tatum are both going off, they don't have a 1-2 punch right now without Middleton to really deal with that. I think this goes 6 or 7.
Okay,
but kudos to Milwaukee for winning the first on the road.
Yeah, it's true. If they take the second one, are you readjusting your assessment?
Oh, of course. At that point, because now you're going 2 back to back at home. But I mean, the cliched saying is it's not a series until somebody wins on the road.
It's true. It's true. Well, there's the series now.
It's now officially a series.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's exciting though. I like all these teams. This has been fun to watch for sure. I've made it very clear. I will be sneaking off to watch these games as much as possible.
Can I duck out for 2 seconds? I'm getting a phone call that I have to take.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Knock yourself out.
1 second. Sorry about this, everybody.
All right. When you come back in, I'll put you back on.
Okay.
All right. It's just me and you guys. Oh, wow. We're on the close up there. Sorry about that. He's getting a phone call. Oh, well, let's mute him so we don't hear his phone call. There we go. How are you guys doing? How are things? I know we're live. We're hanging out. Let's talk a little bit about Cinemacon. I'm going to talk about it, I think, on my channel here in a little bit as well. But yeah, what a great time it was there in Vegas, getting to see so much of the footage. I saw footage from, as I said, 30 minutes of Lightyear from Disney, which was incredible. 30 minutes of animated footage for Lightyear. Then got to see a bunch of Doctor Strange stuff. Got to see some new footage. I think it was the opening 15 minutes of the film they showed us there at Comic-Con. And I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, just like everything you've seen in the trailer, there are shades of it in the first few minutes of the film for sure. That was really cool to see. What else did I get a chance to see? Oh yeah, the announcement of the new title for Spider-Verse, for the Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse. A lot of people think Beyond the Spider-Verse means that they're going to be going into live action, that they're going to cross universes into live action, which I think is actually kind of interesting, and it makes sense with the definition of beyond. It means you're going past the Spider-Verse as it exists in animated form. So that'll be interesting for sure. And the stuff they showed us, it shows about 15 minutes of that as well. And most of it was still in animatronic. Was it what they call it? Is it animatics? Oh, they were still in animatics with most of the stuff they showed us, which was great to see, and had a lot of fun seeing that stuff as well. And then what else did I get a chance to take a look? Wonka. I got a chance to see Wonka. A little bit of that, and I like the approach they're doing with that prequel. There's going to be new songs. There's certainly a mother-son story that's a part of it as well, so that's all in this as well. Oh, Matthew, thank you very much. Matthew Jasso saying congrats on your board membership for the HCA. That's right. Yeah, I was I accept they appointed me. There was an application process and whole thing, and I was chosen to be one of the board members for the new board that's is in effect now. We signed the papers yesterday for the Hollywood Critics Association. So for those of you who know how much I've worked and how hard I've worked over the last 2 years plus, I guess now, to establish my name as a critic, to establish myself out there. And I've still got miles to go, but to build it at my pace, to now have this happen for me at this stage in my career is great. So we'll see where it leads to and where it goes. And one of the reasons that I've walked away from the stuff I've walked away from is to create space for new opportunities, and certainly being a board member now with the HCA is that. So thank you, Matthew Jasso. I appreciate it. Oh, Matt's back. All right, let's bring him back in. Wait, how come I can't figure out? Okay. There you go. There we are. All right.
There we go. Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries. All right, well, let's get into it. Since we're already 30 minutes into the show, we should jump into our lists here, Matt. What are we talking about today? Or do you want to talk about other stuff? What do you want to do?
No. Let's get into it. So this was to the man of the hour, Mr. Jasso, since he's watching along in the chat. He is a Boss Hogg member, and he submitted a topic that we liked a lot, which is basically first-time action stars. So somebody that movies from first-time action stars. So somebody that was already doing movies and then made the leap into action films.
Right.
And then we're ranking. At least I interpret it as then I'm ranking the films based on how I like those films.
Yeah.
In my top 10 list. And it was interesting getting into it because you start thinking like, oh, okay, what about this for this person? And then I went through their IMDb and be like, oh yeah, I forgot they did 2 or 3 other films before this one.
Yeah. Right.
And I may or may not or like them, or they don't rate as high as the others. So I had to exclude them from the list because I'm erring on what he asked for, which is their first.
Yeah.
So who made the jump and was basically most successful?
Yeah.
in their first. So I looked at it also as they've already been in movies.
Yes.
So they've got a little bit of a track record, and then boom, they're just doing action all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it could be a long track record for one or two individuals. But I tried to have some sort of, they were established as one thing and then made the leap over here. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I think that's what I did as well. Like in my head, I was like, okay, what did I know them first in my consciousness in films as an action star, or did I know them in my consciousness as something else, and then they became an action star? So that really eliminated a big one for me. So I was surprised. I was like, okay, I got to take this one off, because my own approach to this is, the spirit of the list, at least in my opinion, was someone you did not anticipate being an action star or doing an action movie, and then they show up in an action movie and it's damn good. And so that's the way I looked at it. So, I had to eliminate one really, really big one, but in the end, it was the right decision, because the first time I got to know them on film was during an action movie. So it wasn't a surprise to me. So.
Yeah, and this is I think this is a very subjective in that regard, because there's another actor where he had been working for 15 years before this.
Right.
And doing all kinds of different stuff. But my introduction to him was action films. So I think of him as an action actor, amongst other things. He's done serious, he's done this, that, and the other. But it's just but I only knew him as this for a long time.
Right.
So yeah, just like winnowing down, and other ones like, oh yeah, what about this one? And then start thinking about it and be like, they had this previous film. Yeah, it's like, nah, if we're gonna say their first action, their first action is probably this. And there's another one I was like, this is a good one. And then he has 3 previous that are on the spectrum of action.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that you would classify it as an action film first, but it's borderline.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, because if I cheat for that one, then I can make that case for 3-4 other individuals, and it just muddies up the list.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we approach it roughly the same way.
Yeah, I think so too. So how does the show work, Matt?
Once Mr. Jasso gave us a topic, we went our individual ways and created personal top 10 lists. We show back up here. I do my bottom 3. He does his bottom 3. I do my next 2. He does his next 2. Then we trade one apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 list, we create the shows between the two of us.
Okay.
So jumping right in, this is probably a punt.
Okay.
Which is Bad Boys with Will Smith.
That is actually my number 10 as well.
Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my God!
For both of them, for Will and Martin.
Okay, sure.
I mean, neither one of them let us know that they were going to do an action movie quite like this.
Okay.
So
yeah, I was thinking of Will primarily because he's just had a few more movies under his belt.
Well, Martin had been in Do the Right Thing, which is before Will did a first film, I think. And so Martin had been part of an ensemble in other films, and then boom, here he comes pairing up with Will right after both of them had been successful, him with Fresh Prince and him with Martin. So to me, they both kind of qualify exactly the same stage in their lives. Although Will had the 6 degrees of separation, this was them kind of coming in at the same time with the same pedigree.
Yeah, I think he had 6 degrees and 1 or 2 others. It was Made in America before this.
Oh yeah, Made in America, right? Was it Whoopi Goldberg's
Ted Danson, Whoopi Goldberg?
Right.
Where then Ted, they started dating, and Ted did blackface at some event.
Oh, Ted.
Yeah, all that matters is Whoopi found it funny.
It's not all that matters. I disagree with you, but certainly,
I think between the two of them,
sure. But like for the platform he has to do that was really stupid, just stupid. So, in my,
I can't deny what you're saying there, but if it was for someone I was dating and she's like, "That's hilarious," I'd do it. I love it. I'd be like, "Okay, no problem," because the only person I'd be worried about offending is you. So if you think this is good, then I'm good to go.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking at that right now with Will. Yeah, Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince was 89, 90, Blossom. He was on a Blossom episode. That's hilarious. Where the Day Takes You, Made in America, 6 Degrees Separation, then Bad Boys. Okay. Right. So that was the lead up from 91 to 95 or 92 to 95. That was the lead up, and then Independence Day right after that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that one was like borderline of there's not a lot of track record here.
Right.
But there's enough of a runway.
With Martin, it had been Do the Right Thing, House Party, Talking Dirty After Dark, House Party 2, Boomerang, and then Bad Boys. And that was 3 years between Boomerang and Bad Boys. So he had established himself as essentially kind of an ensemble guy.
Yeah.
But I imagine he started doing Martin. Yeah, in 92, started doing Martin. So that kind of took his attention away from films. So, yeah. So I think they both qualify at the stage that they're at. Both were surprises to be in this. But Will Smith is the choice. I agree with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Good choice.
And it's kind of one of those of you saw it and you're like, yeah, this makes sense. And then he goes on to do action film after action film after action film to fully solidify that is part of, the canon of Will Smith.
Yeah.
And, did that at the Oscars as well.
Okay.
So,
there it is.
He's got a brand and he's sticking to it. This guy is no nonsense action.
Oh boy. All right. What's your 9? Before we get in trouble, what's your 9, man?
My number 9 is skirting the line on action.
Okay.
Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, dude, that was a final cut. I was it's so fucking close to adding him.
It's right on that line. Is it action? There's a ton of action in it.
There is. Right.
Yeah. So, but if you want to say it's not an action film first, I agree with
you. But I hear you. You're right. And but there's a lot of action.
Right. There's a lot of action in this.
There is.
There's a ton of people that get killed.
Yeah.
There's big set pieces.
He has hand-to-hand combat. He shoots a rifle. You're right. Yeah.
The running. Find me somebody else who could run through the forest like that, and it's engaging.
Yeah. It's true.
It's really good. Just running. I will find you.
Stay alive.
But it's like if you were going to fight me on it, that's fine. I had a backup.
Oh no, it's a great choice. It was a final cut, like really for the reasons that we just talked about.
Yeah,
I can't. Is it an action? Is it a war film? Since I can't say.
Right on that line.
Yeah.
Because I did it with a few others and be like, I think of that as a historical or a drama or whatever first, and then it's got action in it. And so this one is a little bit closer to a gray area, but at the same time, if you force me to say, is it a straight up action film? Maybe not.
Yeah, and I will say this. I think I removed all the superhero films because, I mean, you could go through the MCU and do that with just about every origin film, for God's sake. So I stayed away from superhero films overall.
I have one.
Okay.
But, a lot of them, though, if you really look at it and be like, I don't know, because you would have to include these 3 previous.
Right.
Like that individual did this, this, and this. Now, they may have had a small part, but that is an action film.
Right.
Yeah, I thought about 2, but I settled on just 1.
Okay. All right. What's your 9? Oh, that was your 9. So
that
what's
was my 9?
What's your 8?
My 8 is The Kingsman with Colin Firth.
That's a punt.
Okay.
So my 10 we said was Will Smith for Bad Boys.
Sure.
My 9 is Michael Cera for Scott Pilgrim.
Go for it.
I had no idea this son of a bitch was going to do an action film amidst the madness of Scott Pilgrim. This is a comic book, so I avoided superheroes, but this is a comic book one that kind of qualifies in a broader sense for me. And I had no idea he was going to have these, like a sword fight with Jason Schwartzman and all the stuff that he's doing, fighting off all the old exes of Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the movie. And then also dealing with an attack from his ex-girlfriend there as well. But yeah, being Michael Cera through the whole movie with that kind of talk that he does all the time, and being kind of the judgmental, sarcastic son of a bitch, but also the hypocritical son of a bitch at the same time. And it's an enjoyable film. I really like this film, and Edgar Wright did a great job directing. It didn't catch on with the public, which was a shock, but that still doesn't matter to me in terms of, I did not anticipate Michael Cera to be doing fight choreography in a movie and be part of an action film himself. So yeah, that's why it's my.
I think in hindsight, it's a shock. At the time, I don't think it was that surprising, because usually like a Michael Cera film, more often than not, to me, the more successful ones, they're billed as it's from the director.
Oh, what do you mean? Like
Judd Apatow or
yeah.
whatever. You're thinking of the individuals that helped, like the entire package of putting it together.
Right.
I don't rush out to see a Michael Cera film, but he is in films that I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just me personally. It's kind of like, Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Do you think of Social Network as his movie? No.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's Fincher's film.
It's
Right?
Fincher's film.
Yeah.
So that's the way I feel with like Sarah.
He's excellent.
Like,
He's excellent.
oh, he's excellent in it. I think that's easily the best he's ever been to me.
Right. But you look at what Super Bad, Juno, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and then something called Paper Heart, Year One, which I never saw, and then boom, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So
yeah, so a spotty track record as far as box office.
Yes, very much so. But I knew him as just this nerdy, geeky kid who represents that generation of teenagers. And so for him to jump into something like Scott Pilgrim, I was really shocked by it. So, okay. So then my number 8 is Angelina Jolie. Because I had seen her in Gia and I had seen her in other things. And all of a sudden, here comes Tomb Raider. Here comes Wanted. Here comes, these other films. And so for me, my thought of her was that she was this person who was really like an independent film movie actress. And when she took something mainstream, I was really surprised by it.
Because what do you choose? Because her first 2 action films are The Bone Collector and Gone in 60 Seconds.
I would take Gone in 60 Seconds, I would imagine.
All right. Well, that's her second action film.
Yeah.
Because The Bone Collectors are first. I had her on my side list.
I don't consider Bone Collector an action film. It's more of a, what do you call it, like a crime thriller?
Okay.
Than an action film. So.
All right. So Gone in 60 Seconds is your choice?
Yeah, I would take Gone in 60 Seconds, but I'd seen her in Hackers.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Gia.
Girl Interrupted, Gia.
But yeah, Pushing 10, Playing by Heart, Girl Interrupted. Right. And then it was Gone in 60 Seconds. And then Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. So it's just that combo of those two back to back. All of a sudden, she went into this whole other direction. Because Cradle of Life was just 2 years later.
You're telling me
Sky Captain.
Gone in 60 Seconds is better than Bad Boys?
Am I telling you it's better than Bad Boys?
Yeah.
No, it was more about a ranking of surprise, right? So
I was going because he said movies from first time action. So I ranked the movies according to my taste.
Oh,
and that's what I thought you said you did at the stop. So that's why I brought up you really telling me you think Gone in 60 is better? That's fine if you interpreted the list differently. So be it.
I see what you're saying. Okay. All right.
But whatever.
By that choice, like you said, it could have been a punt. Will Smith would be higher up if we're looking at
Yeah, that's why I was shocked.
Okay.
That Bad Boys wasn't like I figured top 5, maybe 4.
Do I have to choose their first action movie? Is that the way this works?
That's how I thought we read the list.
Then I will put Gone in 60 Seconds over Bad Boy. Yeah, I'll do it. I will stand by my.
All right, fair enough. Look, it's your list, man.
Damn right.
Occasionally we sit down and fully define, hey, this is how I'm and other times it's just like, this is going to be the topic, and we show up and
let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, it comes down to the interpretation to set, and that's part of the fun.
Exactly.
I read it this way. Like, all right, so be it.
So be it.
Yeah, so long as we're not saying, because if we're choosing the actor,
that
made the shift. Okay, that's a different list as opposed to choosing the movie.
Right.
Because then it's the actor and be like, oh, well, I was shocked when they made the segue into, this genre, as opposed to, well, your first one, this is pretty spectacular for your first.
Yeah, true. Okay.
All right, so that was your 8?
That is my 8.
My 7 is Taken with Liam Neeson.
That's a punt.
All right. Fair enough.
What's your 6?
My 6 is The Edge of Tomorrow with Emily Blunt.
That is a slight punt, but I like the choice, Matt. My number 7 is Nicolas Cage, The Rock.
That is a punt.
Okay, if you say so.
Okay, the guy that has Gone in 60 Seconds as number 8 on his list is somehow judging mine. Okay,
hey, it's all subjective.
It is all subjective, and I can subjectively tell you, not even close.
Here, let me make sure I got this right. Okay, then my number 6 is, I think this is correct, Chris Pratt for either Zero Dark 30 or Jurassic World. So it depends on if you think he didn't lead Zero Dark 30, so that's tough for me to give him that. And that's more of a war film, so I kind of want to go Jurassic
Guardians
World.
came before.
What? Which one?
Guardians came before Jurassic World, did it not?
I don't
But
think
Zero
so.
Dark 30, I think technically would be his first action film.
If that's an action film.
I think that also skirts the line the same way Last of the Mohicans does.
You're right. Guardians did come before Jurassic World, so I'll happily default to Guardians in 2014. Zero Dark 30, he's just the ensemble.
Yeah, but he's one of the
He
SEALs.
leads Guardians. He leads Guardians.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I will put Guardians there at 6. Is that a punt? Did you put it on at all?
I did not.
Wow.
I did not, because Zero Dark, I already had one, and he wasn't the lead of, and that was to me his first action film.
Okay.
So I kept it off.
See, I was focused on them being leads in these films. That's what I was focused on.
So was I, and then I'm lead and
right
first action film.
Because it's Jessica Chastain who's the lead, and then of the dudes, it's Joel Edgerton who's the lead. He's the one leading the guys.
Yeah, so. I think I looked at it as their first foray into action. Were they the lead? How good was that movie? That was and if they did 2-3 films that were action films before then, whether or not they were the lead, whatnot, it's like, they're in an action film, and they're not the lead, and whatever the case is.
True. True.
But yeah, Guardians is fantastic.
Okay.
Even with a push to replace Chris Pratt.
Which James Gunn says is not happening.
Yeah, unequivocally, that's fine. If you want him gone, then I'm gone too.
This is ridiculous. We should, what is this, man? We're going. Calm down, everybody.
Well, it's what the church he goes to.
Yeah,
has publicly espoused a couple of views that people don't like. I don't know beyond what it is.
Okay,
but
know that.
I don't know if he toes the line on those views.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's been a part of that church. I don't know anything about the situation other than some people are upset because basically I think it also stems from he is pro-Trump, or at least was at one point.
Okay, but
that catches the ire of quite a few people.
Yeah, I see, I guess.
It makes you an easy target, so now they're looking for other things to not like you about. I'm sure the fact that I believe he has some sort of farm and he butchers his own animals and eats like the whole animal. They eat the kidneys and the liver and all that. And some people are upset by that and be like, I think you guys are just looking for things to be upset with him about at this point.
Yeah. But he hasn't come out. If he hasn't come out and said anything, then people are I see. The church has past connections with a history of discriminating against the LGBTQ plus community. Okay.
But what does that mean?
Where is that?
Yeah, and how long ago is in the past, and what was their stance? And a lot of churches have
all churches. Oh, okay, you're right. Not all churches. A lot.
Not all,
right.
But have a muddy, like some are more accepting than others, but it's still like a weird. You got to give everybody time to,
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a new thing we're all becoming aware of.
Yeah, Disney's like right now, they're on the fire pit right now.
Yes.
Coming out.
For this. And it's going to cost Florida taxpayers a lot of money, especially the 2 counties that Disney resides in. I feel bad for those people.
I agree, because DeSantis can swag around all he wants about, no way, Disney's going to make. Disney has so much money, they're going to go through his entire life and destroy him, finding all kinds of stuff about him.
I think
Disney lawyers is not a good idea.
They'll just pour money into his opponents. This is all just for him in the next presidential campaign. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's posturing.
It is 100%. This is a national thing that's going to cost Florida taxpayers $1 billion, roughly.
Yeah.
$1 billion so he can score national political points.
What else is new?
But with Chris Pratt, I don't know I haven't investigated because I don't care. And it's not to say that I don't care about your issue. It's just I have other things on my plate to worry about.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time to invest to get to the bottom of why you guys are upset. Somebody wants to explain it to me, please, by all means.
Yeah. So right here, back in 2019, Elliot Page publicly called Pratt out for attending an infamously anti-LGBTQ church, which prompted Pratt to make a rare statement, prompted Pratt said this on social media. It has recently been suggested that I belong to a church which hates a certain group of people, quote, and is, quote, infamously anti-LGBTQ. Nothing could be further from the truth. I go to a church that opens their doors to absolutely everyone. So, yeah. And, he's been getting raked over the coals for any comment he makes. Like, he made a comment about his wife, and people are like, oh, she's your possession. It's like, man, where's the line of this madness?
It's honestly, I think it all came from he's Republican.
Yeah.
And didn't
Which
come
is
out
allowed to be in this country.
Yes.
Make that clear. Yeah.
But he's like one of the few Marvel people that wasn't, pro-Biden. Adamantly pro-Biden, which catches the ire of.
Listen, he's not the only one.
I know.
Shuri, Teresa. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, God, I can't.
Yeah, I know you mean.
I'm so bad right now with names. But also Evangeline Lilly was at that anti-vax. She's starting to become more and more vocal.
Yeah.
As being an anti-vax. What are you going to do with that? So this is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, she's a minor character in the scheme of Marvel.
Yeah.
Like in the overall.
She's making the Ant-Man franchise, but she's minor in the overall.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Yep.
But whereas Pratt is the lead of one of their best moneymakers, plus you have the Jurassic Park 3 coming out, and he's more bankable star.
Yeah.
So
Letitia Wright is who I meant. Sorry about that, gang. Letitia Wright. Yes. So, yeah, look, Matt, as big as that universe is, you're going to bring people in, or actors who are going to have different political beliefs. It's not all, and that shouldn't exclude you from working on something. Now, if you say horrific shit, that's where you get excluded, or has to step down. Like Bill Burr coming out defending Gina Carano. He was way off base with his bullshit, but whatever. That's Bill's opinion and his point of view, and that's fine. Gina's different points of views weren't the issue. It was the way she was using certain things to push her points of views that were eventually what got her. And she's gotten even worse on social media. So she's not, it's not like she's got better. So
might as well lean into it.
Yeah, I guess so, to get the followers. So,
well, you're not coming back to
exactly
this world. So you might as well fully envelop yourself in the other.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, but I hear that. But it's unfortunate because, we shouldn't be in a place where if you don't believe how I believe, fuck you, you're not going to be part of this.
I know, but that's where, you could say the humankind has always been like that.
Yeah, true.
But now we just have, everybody has a pulpit.
Yeah, right.
For good or for ill. It's got, it's good to know where everybody stands.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true. If you're a hateful prick, I want to hear you say, hey, I'm a fucking demon. All right. It's good to know. I will stay away from you. Thank you for, espousing your just terrible medieval point of view. Good for you.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah. I'd much rather know that you're a shitbag than pasting a smile on your face and everybody think that, you're a good individual when that isn't the case.
Yeah. Some people call themselves good people, ain't so good people. Anyway, all right. Should we take a break here and before we jump into our top fives, brother?
Yeah, let's do it. And we'll hear this quick word from our sponsor. See you guys in just a second. All right, welcome back. There we are. There's our ad break. So we're getting into our top fives. So far, we've had quite a bit of commonality. Let's see if that commonality stays true. I think it will for the most part.
We shall see, man. We shall see.
But at this point, you have a couple punts up top.
I do.
Which means some of mine are not going to be up there for you.
Oof.
So my number 5 movie is Point Break with Keanu Reeves.
That's my number 4. Yes.
No
one saw this coming.
Hell no, I did not see this coming. I was borderline. I liked Keanu, and at the same time, there's stuff like Parenthood, which I still don't like.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
It just puts a knot in my stomach and reminds me of seeing it in the theater when I was a kid. And I hated it.
Okay.
And it still elicits that kind of Pavlovian response on some level. Just the I wish, like, Hulk, get your shit together, man. Why are you such an
oh God, yes, right. Oh,
and Diane Wiest, just drove me up a wall as a kid, and that character still does.
Yeah.
And whatever the case is, but outside of Bill and Ted's, like, there was a lot of My Private Idaho was before this.
Yes, right. My Private Idaho, right.
What else? There was like a couple others.
Hold on, let's see. My Private Idaho. Yeah, he had a few of these like
Parenthood, Bill and Ted's.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm racking my brain. I'm not coming up with anything.
Let's see. He done some show. Young Blood. He was in Young Blood.
Okay.
Something called Teenage Dream. River's Edge was also.
All right.
The Night Before, which I have no idea what that was. Permanent Record. Dangerous Liaisons.
Sure.
The Prince of Pennsylvania. Parenthood. I Love You to Death, which was funny. Providence, and then boom, Point Break. So yeah, all of those are smaller, more independent films or broader comedies. So yeah, none of those would have let you believe that he would go and do Point Break, which was completely out there.
Yeah, him and Swayze.
Right, Swayze's another. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd have to look. Is Roadhouse before this?
Is that an action film or a fight film? Where would you put Roadhouse? By the way, never seen it. Watched the first 20 minutes the other night.
It's not good.
It's not a good movie.
It's not good. I guess I would call it action just because the storyline is so stupid. You know what I mean? Like
right.
You have the emotional stakes of an action film, in my opinion.
Well, he had done Uncommon Valor, which is a great.
Sure, the Gene Hackman.
Yeah, forgotten Vietnam movie. He had done Red Dawn. That's an action.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about it. That's why I excluded him from the list. It's like, oh yeah, Red Dawn. And I don't like Red Dawn. So
Warriors.
I don't like Warriors. I don't like The Outsiders. There's quite a few from that early 80s canon that people adore that I just don't care for.
It's not your cup of tea. You didn't grow up. You were,
I was a little kid when those came out. So going back and revisiting just doesn't have the same enchantment for me.
You don't have the nostalgia for it, which is what helps.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Red Dawn, it's got a kitsch value.
Sure.
That I can appreciate.
Sure.
Having grown up in the 80s in the Red Menace. But beyond that, the Iron Curtain it was more formidable before I was born.
It's great to know now that so many generations that have come afterwards would be quite willing to open the door to a Red Scare. So it's good to know that now in our world, in our country. Anyway, so that was our 5 and 4, and he's good in the movie. And he went off and did Speed right afterwards. So there was a bunch of action stuff. Matrix.
Yeah, I initially thought of Speed, and then I was making sure on his IMDb, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I thought of Speed before Point Break.
Yeah.
And an unlikely action movie between the two of them that is excellent.
Yeah.
And if Swayze hadn't done, Red Dawn previously, I would have considered Swayze for this because I think he steals the movie, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. He's the more interesting character.
Yeah, sure. I just find it more captivating on screen in that movie.
He's a good-looking guy in that movie.
He's a very good-looking guy in that movie.
Yeah.
And Anthony Kiedis' best acting. Hands down. It's either that or that Charlie Sheen. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Henry Rollins in that Charlie Sheen film. The one with Christy Swanson.
Look, Henry Rollins' best acting is Heat, and everybody knows it, for God's sake.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
And it's not that good.
Were they in that Charlie Sheen, Christy Swanson? Was it Kiedis and Flea, and they were in the monster truck?
Was it Terminal? What is that one? Terminal Velocity? What was that one called?
No. The Chase.
Oh, The Chase, right.
Or something generic like that.
Woof. You're right.
They're like driving to Mexico, and it's an APB like chase down the 5 or whatever the case is.
Yeah, Henry Rollins is the Officer Dobbs.
Okay.
Ray Wise is in this shit. Oh my God. And she's a big Trump person now, Swanson. Huge Trump person.
Which is fine.
Yes, Flea and Anthony Kiedis are in there.
That's right. They're in a monster truck. Okay.
So is Ron Jeremy and Carrie Elwes. What an interesting combination.
It's a weird cast.
It's
a weird cast.
Okay, never mind. All right, yeah. A very weird cast. All right, where were we? What number were we
at? That was my 5. So what's your 5?
My 5 is the punt from earlier with Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow, I think, is a favorite of the top 10 show.
Yes, undoubtedly.
So she is fantastic in that movie and is great. And this was right at that time where people are really embracing how great Emily Blunt is as an actress. And we're seeing how she can conquer multiple genres. And when she makes this slide into Edge of Tomorrow, this is the one where I was like, what? And then you see her ability to fight, her ability to do things that she does, and you're just like, man, this is incredible. So she's great in that movie. Was it the Red Mistress of the Red, whatever it is? I forget what her nickname was.
She was the hero of.
Oh yeah, the hero of blah blah blah. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. I think what helps to make it believable are those big mech suits.
Yes, good.
Because especially if you haven't seen somebody and then all of a sudden they're doing the most choreographed action.
Yeah.
Unless they're really good at it, you're gonna have to do like close cuts and all that. I call it, the Zachary Quinto. Where if you suck at it, you got to get that camera in there close.
Yeah. True.
And do a bunch of quick cuts to cover up the fact that they suck at the action.
Oh, I hate that too. And it's so obvious when they.
Oh, it is. Once you know to look for it, you're like, wow, this person hasn't, or that the training didn't go over as well as they were hoping.
Ooh, what happened here? Ooh.
Yeah,
exactly.
And with those mech suits, like to see her running and doing like with that big ridiculous anime sword.
Yeah,
it all kind of works really well together, but it makes the action to me more believable because she has the aid of, this technology. So you could take somebody who you've always associated in one regard and be like, well, if an end of the world situation, it made it all the more believable.
Right.
And she looked so natural and great in those scenes. So then when A Quiet Place comes around, you're fully believing of, she can handle her own, like handle a gun or have to ward off aliens to save her children. I 100% believe this. And I'd love to see her do more action.
Exactly. The Angel of Verdun.
Angel of Verdun. That's what it was.
And Rose was her nickname.
Wasn't it Verdun?
Verdun. Yeah. The Angel of Verdun. Oh, is it Verdun? Okay.
I think it's Verdun.
I'm trying to correct my pronunciation. I know you've listened to a lot of historical broadcasts, so fine. I'll cede to you on the pronunciation.
Historical broadcasts. Like I just listened to Murrow's old stuff. I put it on in the background. Yeah.
1952.
Did I watch old reels they used to show before movies? I just put those on a loop. The world today. Yeah. Here's GIs out in the Pacific lobbing coconuts at each other. Looks like they're having a good time. Like, okay.
Oh, the best. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, Verdun. Yeah. So somebody put it Verdun or whatever. Alex Russell put it. The way the place is sad. All right. Yeah. All right. So where are we at now? What number are we at now?
My 4, which is the punt from you earlier, The Rock.
Okay. Go ahead, Nicolas Cage.
A flawless action film.
Oh, boy.
It is the right amount of cheese. I think it's Bruckheimer at his absolute best. Bruckheimer and Bay.
As a producer.
Yes.
Okay.
They're absolute apex right here.
Yeah.
This is just, it is quintessentially 90s without looking cliched 90s. I don't know. Nick Cage, all of a sudden, I think it's also a great role for him because he's not coming in as super duper ass kicker from The Jump. He's Stanley Goodspeed. That's the name of the character. I remember because Godspeed, Chandra gives him the explanation of where that comes from, Godspeed, and the derivation of that. And that's why it's always stuck in my head. That and VX Poison Gas. I know what that is. So that comes up. Like I heard a news story about that. Not one of those old timey ones that I listen to all the time. It was a current one where they had come across, because it's a naturally occurring substance.
Right.
And then we synthesize it and make it, much more lethal because we're idiots.
Why not?
But there was a story out a couple of weeks ago. I heard it I think it was just on talk radio.
Oh.
About it. It wasn't like some 20 people died. It was just some discovery of type of thing. I can't remember specifically, but learn about that. But the speculation post fact that this is actually Sean Connery doing his last James Bond film.
Wow.
Is because he was a spy that was imprisoned and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It makes for a great fan fiction or fan theory.
Yeah. And supposedly this is a kind of a pseudo James Bond movie that he's supposedly playing James Bond. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing all over. I love it. I saw a good one a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Talking about the fact that R2 doesn't really listen to Luke in episodes 1, 2, and 3, or actually, pardon me, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Anytime Luke tells him to stay with the ship, he always just kind of follows him anyway because he's R2, and you're like, this little rascal. It's because the last time he was told to stay at the ship was Revenge of the Sith, and he stayed at the ship, and he never saw Anakin again, and his whole world changed.
That's
So
true.
he never wants that to happen to him again. It's like, that's an interesting theory. I have never thought about that.
I like that theory.
I do too. It really plays into R2, gives him more heart and personality.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay. But anyway,
yeah,
for the last Bond film that Sean Connery ever did, I think it's pretty flawless.
It's not a bad movie. Not a bad movie for sure. Not a great movie, but not a bad movie.
It is a great for a summer action film. What else are you looking for? And I'm speaking to a guy that likes Transformers and Fast and the Furious. And you're telling me you're going to turn your nose up at a flawless.
I'm not turning my nose up.
You are.
I judge a Michael Bay film through a different prism than I judge a Michael Bay Transformers film. A Michael Bay action film through a different prism than a Michael Bay Transformers film, especially one starring Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage.
That is excellent. Continue.
Sure. All right, so then we're at my number 5, 4. Oh, so my 5 and 4 have been done.
Okay.
So
we'll go to my 3.
Yeah, what's your 3?
My 3 is my one superhero, which is Batman with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I took it off because it's a superhero film. But yeah, that would have been on number 1. That would have been my number 1. But yeah, please go ahead.
Like I was a big fan of Michael Keaton as a kid. I loved Gung Ho.
Yeah, Gung Ho.
I still love Gung Ho. Mr. Mom, I was a big fan of.
Yeah, good film.
Late Shift, I actually hadn't seen until I was older.
Night Shift.
Or Night Shift, rather.
Yeah.
Night Shift. So it's just like, he's a great comedic actor. He'd done Beetlejuice before that. Loved Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And then he jumps into when they announce it for Batman. And to find out, I didn't know this at the time, that people were like, I don't know if Keaton could do this.
Oh my God, dude. I was of age where I read all those articles, and I was one of those people where I was like, no way, no fucking way. This makes no sense. Why are you getting a comedic actor like Michael Keaton, a waifish comedic actor like Michael Keaton to play Batman? That's got to be someone of stature and muscles and strength. Why are you choosing Keaton? I was one of those people. I remember distinctly, and not writing articles or anything, but I certainly felt that way.
But it was in the discussion zeitgeist.
Yeah, it was very
all the people to choose, and I didn't care. I was 10.
Yeah, right.
When it came out, so I was like, "This great! I love this dude. He's going to be Batman. Awesome!"
Right.
And that was the build up and lead up to that movie is what sparked my Batman is still my favorite comic book character. But I started really reading him and collecting toys and wearing the T-shirts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
from that movie. And it still lasts to this day. He's still my favorite superhero, by leaps and bounds. So the fact that he goes from really one genre, which is only doing comedy, to leap into a role that has very little comedy in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And helps spark an entire generation of people to go on to kind of reformat or to change the movie landscape 20 years later. You gotta tip your cap. It's pretty impressive.
It's kind of crazy to think about because both Pierce Brosnan and Mel Gibson were in contention here for that role back then.
Mel would have been great.
Mel would have been really interesting. He pulled out, he turned it down because he had signed up for Lethal Weapon 2 to do the sequel. So he couldn't do it.
Made a great choice.
Yeah, I love that sequel.
If we would have been denied Lethal Weapon 2, I watched it last night.
Yeah.
It's on HBO. And
such a good film.
I watched it last night, man. Diplomatic immunity.
Just been revoked. Brosnan, it was more a matter. He turned it down. He didn't want to do a comic book movie, which I totally understand. Back in 1989, that's not a negative point of view to have in 1989.
Yeah.
They weren't doing good comic book movies back then.
I'd be curious to know whether or not they had Jack Nicholson attached at that point.
Oh, good question.
Because if you're turning it down, they've got Jack on board. It's like, that's a ballsy one. Whereas if you're first, they're trying to lock down Batman first.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. You want to do that and then move on from there.
But you got to have that chemistry with your main guy, which is the hero.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, look, would he look good in a tux, Pierce? Excellent.
Absolutely. Always has.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't, or that he passed.
Yeah, and the footage I saw of him as Dr. Fate for the Black Adam stuff they showed us at Cinemacon, he looks great. And he's going to be a big part of that movie, it seems like, from what they showed. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so then my number 3 is the pun from earlier, Colin Firth for Kingsman.
Okay.
I love the movie, man. I think it's a damn good movie. Sequel, meh. But that first one is really good. And the King's Man is okay. It's certainly better than the sequel.
Yeah, it's better than Golden Circle.
Yeah, for sure. But like, it doesn't reach the magic of the first one. And Colin Firth was a surprise enough. Yes, Taron Egerton is the lead, but Colin Firth is such a massive part of that movie as the mentor. And so for me, I think of him first when I think of Kingsman ironically, I think of him over Taron Egerton when I think of Kingsman. So I put it there at number 3 because I think it's an excellent film. I think it delivers a fantastic performance. And nobody saw what at times he's radiated, this kind of English dandy approach to things. Nobody saw that coming from him because I think King's Speech was 3 years earlier. So seeing him step in and play this like brutal mentor who's able to kick the shit out of people in pubs was out of the blue, man.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a great encapsulation of that is if you happen to go back and watch the Golden Globes monologues with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Right. Great stuff.
Some phenomenal jokes. Mm-hmm. Some phenomenal jokes. But they have one where they're who would you rather? And they're going through different male celebrities, like in the room or not in the room.
Right.
And it's usually like one of the nominees and somebody else who shares the same first name. So they do Colin Farrell or Colin Firth. Ooh. And I think Tina Fey chooses Colin Firth. And he's like, basically it's because it's the right amount of sex for a polite amount of time. And I think it's a great encapsulation of public perception of Colin Firth. A gentleman, very nice guy, has like how we all view him as one specific way. Right. And then to do it, to take that and then add this new layer to it with all the action, it fits perfectly. Pitch perfect casting.
Yeah, agreed.
To take somebody that you just don't anticipate. Like if it was 20 years earlier, maybe like Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
But you need to take somebody that you're not accustomed to seeing in one regard and then thrusting them into
that situation.
Yeah.
And look, Matthew Jasso, give me a break with Last Legion. Nobody fucking saw that movie. Nobody knows that fucking movie. It does not even count in the conversation with. Wasn't even released theatrically. I don't believe here in the States. It was released internationally, but it only came to the States, I think, over video. So yeah, nobody knows the Last Legion.
I looked at his IMDb. I couldn't find anything that were like, okay, that's clearly an action film.
Yeah, and that's a war film.
More
than anything else.
Yeah, Kingsman is a straight up action flick.
Yeah,
it is another comic book, so you do have 2 comic book movies.
Oh, that's right. You're right. So
Scott Pilgrim and this.
I take my hits.
You didn't want superheroes. What you meant to
superheroes say. Is what I meant. What I stressed. Yeah. All right. So what's your 2, man?
My deuce is The Bourne Identity with Matt Damon.
Oh, fuck me.
You left that off?
I left that off. I didn't even think about it.
Wow, that was like after Neeson. That was the second thing I thought of.
You just give away your number 1.
Nope, that's a punt from you. That'll be. I'm guessing your number 1 at this point.
I guess so. I give away my number 1. Fuck. I didn't even think about that. Shit. All right, I'll have to do some rearranging here.
Previously, like that, the close, I guess you would say, is the talented Mr. Ripley.
Fine. Everything gets moved down. Damon is 3. Fine. Bourne. All right, fine. With Bourne Identity, is that what we'd say since this is the first one? Oh no, wait. Would you say Bourne Identity?
I said Identity.
All right. So what I'm going to do is move Sarah off and keep Will Smith there. So Sarah's done as my number 9. Will Smith stays on. Go ahead, keep going, bud. Good choice. Good choice.
It kind of opened up between him and Liam.
Yeah.
It kind of opened up this. Holy shit! Anybody can do action so long as they get enough training.
Right.
And unlocked a whole bevy of stars now, kind of reevaluating whether or not they'd be willing to do action.
Yeah.
And it also rates so highly because it looked so real. They grounded it as realistically as they could.
Yeah.
Between the fighting and the car chases and everything else. But when you're watching him fight, I'll be damned if that does not look pretty close to legitimate, even though there are things they scrubbed out in CG with wires and pads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But his mechanics as he's going through all these fights, like I don't know how many hours he had to study and train on all this different choreography and even to build up the skill set to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's just wildly impressive.
People forget the time when Matt used to impress us. People forget, the whole 90s is Matt Damon impressing us into the 2000s, early 2000s, from Good Will Hunting to Talented Mr. Ripley to The Bourne Identity. He just is out there showing you that he's got range. He's not just the Southie kid from fucking Goodwill. Like there's a lot here. And certainly Bourne Identity, which I bet he was not their first choice. I'm sure even what's his face who wrote the novels was like Matt Damon. So and he killed it. He was great.
Yeah.
So yeah. People.
Yeah. Well, you think it was like a Jack Reacher situation where the newer iteration is closer to?
Yeah, I think they thought he was cooler or smoother. Do you know what I'm saying? And
okay.
I don't know if Damon was the one that they were thinking about when it comes to that kind of situation.
Yeah, I never read any of the novels, so I don't know what the written description of the individual is.
Right, because he was born in 2002. So yeah, he'd done Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron that same year. Jerry, Ocean's 11, All the Pretty Horses, which is actually not a bad movie. Finding Forrester in a cameo. Legend of Bagger Ranch was terrible. And Talented Mr. Ripley. So yeah, and Rounders, which is great. Private Ryan, Good Will Hunting, Rainmaker is fucking excellent. So yeah, he'd done a little. He was just impressing the shit out of Dogma, So and then boom, gets this.
Although I will say, yeah, I guess. So what I was saying before about Pratt, like why I kept him off, I was like, there was Zero Dark. I didn't think about Private Ryan for Damon,
right?
Because that's another small cameo. So if one excluded.
Well,
it is. I mean, he's in the very last bit of the film. Spoilers. But yeah, so then I would have. All right. Well, then Pratt probably makes it on my list then.
Right.
Although, how much of a movie track record did he have before? Did you say?
Pratt? Not much. Not barely anything. It was just Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that's what So anybody that makes the straight leap from TV, I excluded. I'm thinking of one guy in particular. I was like, he was on a TV show.
Yeah, he'd been in some weird, like he was in the Strangers with Candy film with Sedaris. Okay. Walk the Talk, which I never heard of. Wieners. He apparently had a small part in Wanted. And then Bride Wars, Jennifer's Body.
All right, so there's enough of he's been working in films. Whether or not you, he was the converted first baseman.
Right.
In Moneyball.
5-year engagement, Zero Dark 30 in 2012. Right.
Yeah, that's definitely enough of it. He's been working.
Yeah.
But whether or not you thought of him. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Damon is now your number 3?
Number 3, yes.
All right, so what do you got at 2?
Am I right on this? I'm looking right now. I put Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
I excluded her.
Was she in something else?
Batman and Robin.
Oh, fuck me, man.
Yeah. Well, and then Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
But right. Pulp Fiction, you could say, well, she's not part of any of the action in it.
She's not.
But yeah, I thought about it. I was like, oh, Uma Thurman, Kill Bill. And then I was like, there's 2 that you could classify as action films before then.
Fuck. Yeah, the Avengers is another one.
Yeah, you got the Avengers too, which is not good.
Son of a bitch. All right.
Yeah, I thought about it.
All right. Well, you just approached it differently than I didn't approach it in the first movie, I guess. I was more approaching it. There was a bit of a shock that this person did this. But you're right. I mean, that's a great point. She's been in a couple other ones.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take him off then. Son of a bitch.
I mean, if we were doing a show about best movies from people you don't associate, like action
Yeah.
stars that you don't associate with action movies.
Well, congratulations, Michael Sarah. You made it back on, you son of a bitch. All right. And people are taking issue with my number one already in the chat. So I might have to remove my number one and one of your numbers as well. I don't know.
Why your number one was my number like 7?
Yeah, but they're saying, hey, he was in Excalibur. He was in these other films.
Oh.
I didn't think about this.
Yeah, my number one probably would catch the ire of, but it's someone you brought up and we were like, hey, what about this? And you're like, so-and-so would count. And I stuck that away and I was like, that's a great call.
All right, great. I'll take it now because clearly, Darkman, 1990.
Oh,
That's
yeah, Darkman. That is an action movie. You're off, Liam.
Rob Roy, another action movie.
Yeah, is that an action film? It's boring as fuck.
Oh, you know what? Cree, this is great. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take Bob Odenkirk.
For nobody? I've got him on my side.
I'm going to take Liam Neeson off. I guess I'll move Damon to number one. And I'll put Odenkirk right after Chris Pratt. Yep.
Okay. So I'm taking
that movie.
I'm taking Neeson off.
Okay.
Who do I want to put on?
Okay, go ahead. I can't put him above The Rock. All right, I'll put him after Nicolas Cage. Okay. Great suggestion, right. Paul Cree. No Bruce Willis because that was his first movie coming out.
Yeah.
James. He had a couple of comedies that nobody went to see, but people knew Bruce Willis for Die Hard.
Exactly. I excluded him for that. I was like, that was his first fucking movie as far as anyone is concerned.
It's about being known for something completely different in movies and then making the...
Yeah, that was our interpretation, just reading the one line. That's how we viewed this.
Yeah.
Could you make a case? All right, so if you're going to take Odenkirk, I'll take Krasinski for 13 hours.
Oh, nice choice. Okay, yeah.
But I have Odenkirk as a possibility as well. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I like Odenkirk.
Yeah, I have a couple of a couple of ones that are on my side list, like Owen Wilson for anything. Shanghai Noon.
Behind Enemy Lines?
For Shanghai Noon as well. Like that's a action film. And then Adrian Brody for Predators. That was
I thought about that too, but he is also the one person I think I'd recast in that movie.
Yeah.
So that's why I kept it. He's not bad in it. It just I don't know if I buy him as this mercenary.
I'd recast Lawrence. No offense to Lawrence.
You think he's chewing a little too much scenery?
Yeah, he's doing his Matrix Revolutions. Zion, hear me. He's doing that shit in there, and it's just too much.
It's a little over the top.
Yeah. Look at Asso. Oh shit. All right. So yeah, Bob Odenkirk, nobody, fantastic, so great. Matt put in Krasinski for 13 hours.
Well, yeah, give me a little Odenkirk. What'd you love about nobody?
I mean, completely out of the blue. I did not see this coming a mile away. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Bob Odenkirk?" And then you watch the movie; he is awesome in the fight sequences and the action that goes on. And you find out that he's a guy who, of course, was this, and then did a complete detour with his life because he wanted to get out of that life. Married his wife, had his kids. But he never lost his skills because he was always vigilant that they might catch up with him, his life. And so when everything starts to fall apart over something really small, over a burglary, it becomes this awesome film. And he is great in the fight sequences on the bus. Jesus Christ. And then what happens in the final part of the movie. So just a great performance by him and very, very well directed. Film for the kind of film that it is, So,
yeah,
absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's John Wick. Like he was out and then he got pulled back in.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Krasinski,
13 hours. So I had red flags all about this.
Oh yeah.
Coming out, I was like, this looks like it's going to be terrible. And then I did not see it in the theater. Enough people told me, check it out. It's actually really good. And then watching, I was like, I can't believe. I wish it, for the sake of a movie, I wish it went another 13 hours.
Yeah.
Because I found it him and Liev Schreiber
Yeah.
and or it's not Liev, it's the other Schreiber,
Oh,
the younger brother,
Pablo.
Pablo.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who else is in the cast off the top of my head. I haven't watched it since I watched it originally.
Yeah.
But I was
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I was spellbound
Mhm.
by the story, and I love the idea of we're just going to follow this the moment in time when this happened.
Yeah.
And the people dealing with it, boots on the ground situation. And Krasinski's fantastic. You can see
Yeah.
why he eventually gets offered, these other John Ryan type shows. It's like,
Yeah.
he can pull off the action.
Yeah. The Tom Clancy one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
I wish they'd restart that. I thought that first season was mediocre.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Didn't they cancel it? I thought they canceled it.
Oh, maybe they did.
Yeah, I thought they canceled it, but maybe not. I might be wrong on that because I don't watch it, so I don't know.
I don't know. It's Amazon, so Amazon's got the money. They're not on Netflix.
True.
At this point.
True.
Okay.
All right. Where are we at next?
Well, my number one is Who I Stole From You.
Okay, go ahead, because I may have to add it now. Go ahead.
Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover.
Yeah, great point. Danny Glover. No one saw that coming, huh?
Technically, you could say Silverado.
Oh,
you count Silverado as exactly? It's not an action film, in my opinion.
There is action in it, but it's a western.
Yeah, and it's a comedic western.
Yes.
I was saying, well, okay, it's a western with comedy. Comedic western means it's comedy almost first. It's
Michael
not.
Cera, you're off again. Michael Cera's off again. So I'm going to put Danny as number 2 then, since it was my choice.
When you said it, I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one."
Yeah,
because Mel, you can't, because Mad Max was his introduction.
That's right. Yeah,
and you start thinking about a bunch of names, like, yeah, but I associate him entirely with action, and then you go back and look at X, Y, or Z and be like, he's done plenty of action before then.
Yeah.
Whereas Danny is television and smaller film roles and whatnot, and was building up to getting the exposure on something like this.
It's true.
Yeah, I think he'd done Witness.
Right.
And
which is good.
In
Color Purple. Right.
But nowhere near playing a buddy cop film that is just pure action, explosions, and to make one of the more realistic, grounded versions of it. And the dynamic between the two individuals is probably the most fleshed out and real.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't think of one since where I believed the friendship and camaraderie more than the two of them. And that's been 30 years.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
he'd been in Iceman, Places in the Heart, Witness, Silverado, The Color Purple, something called The Stand-In, and then boom, here comes Lethal Weapon 87. And he's 41 years old, so.
Yeah, somehow he's on the verge of retirement.
Yeah, too old for this shit.
41? Really? Fuck, man.
So good.
When was the last time you saw Iceman?
Ooh, I love Iceman. Dude, I had it on VHS. I used to watch it all the time. My favorite. I mean, John Lone, Lindsay Krause, Timothy Bottoms or Timothy Hutton.
Yeah.
But John Lone playing the Iceman, I always thought it was a crime that he didn't become a bigger star as an Asian actor, because that film and Year of the Dragon with Mickey Rourke, he is incredible as the villain in Year of the Dragon. He's essentially a Yakuza gang guy there in Chinatown. Oh, no, I guess he's a Chinatown gang guy there in the film. And he is crazy scary in the movie. And in Iceman, he is fantastic as Iceman. And he really never blew up. I think he was the villain in The Shadow and then in Rush Hour, but never really kind of had the thing. And I'm telling you, he's doing an acting class in Iceman, and he's heartbreaking. I love that movie, man. I really do. I don't want to get emotional because I get emotional thinking about that movie because it's great.
Okay.
But why do you ask? We just asked.
I just
never seen it.
I saw that. No, I saw it as a kid and I hated it.
Well, thanks for letting me go on and on about it.
No, well, but it's not made for that. That's one of those where Parenthood, I understand why I didn't like it as a kid.
Right.
But I have seen it since. And Iceman, I didn't like as a kid because it's not made.
Yeah.
for kids. I just watched a
No,
lot
it
of
really
movies.
is. You're right. It's not made for kids. You're right.
It's like any of those, like a Starman. I still hate.
Oh, Starman, right? With Jeff
Ooh, Jeff
Bridges.
Bridges.
Yeah.
Because I saw it as a kid. I was thinking it was going to be some cool alien, whatnot. And there's aspects of that,
Yeah.
but it's more of a discussion of like what humanity and
Yeah.
a soul and all that jazz.
It could just be that I like this director because he also did Roxanne, which I thought was great.
I love Roxanne.
Yeah, he did A Cry in the Dark with the one about the dingo ate my baby.
Never seen it.
The Russia House, which I thought was good with
it's a good movie. It's Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Sure, it's a good movie.
Will Smith film. IQ, which is a sweet little rom.
It is. Tim Robbins, Meg Ryan.
Yeah. And then he starts to kind of fall off around that time when he's a co-director for Fierce Creatures, which is the Fish Call Wanda reunion, and then Last Orders, which I don't know much about. It Runs in the Family, which I think is the Kirk Douglas one, right? Or Jack?
Yeah,
Lemmon.
that is with the 3 generations of Douglases.
Yeah, the Douglases, right? Yeah, with all the sons there, and then something called Eye of the Storm, and then Words and Pictures was his last one, which I never saw.
Don't know that
with
one.
Clive Owen and Juliette Binoche.
Yeah, I don't know that, or Eye of the Storm doesn't spark anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know Eye of the Storm. That's with Charlotte Rampling and Jeffrey Rush. So more of the older crowd, I guess, there. But yeah, so what the fuck is Last Orders? Is that a priest one? Last Orders? Oh, no, it's an Irish film. A group of old friends reminisce about their lives over the years after the death of one of their crew with Michael Caine, Bob Hoskins, a bunch of Ray Winstone, Helen Mirren. Wow, nice cast. Shit. I should find my way to this one. So maybe I just like the director. Maybe that's why I like the movie as much.
Put out quite a few that I'm a fan of.
True.
Yeah, just I don't know. I haven't seen it since. I've gone back and like watched scenes on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down since I was a kid and watched the whole thing.
Shepard. Oh, it's so good. All right. Anyway, was that our? I think that's our list. Somehow we finished our lists, Matt. Here
well, mine. Yeah, I just changed one of mine. I don't know where yours is currently.
I have no idea what's going on. I have to move. I think I have to move some things around here, real quick.
And then we have Mr. Hasso's list to read after we do ours, and we also have shout outs. So we'll get to those in due time. But first, we got to put our lists together.
Yeah. All right. I've rearranged some. So my official final list: Gone in 60 Seconds with Angelina Jolie at 10, Bob Odenkirk, Nobody at 9, Will Smith, Bad Boys at 8, Nicolas Cage 7 with The Rock, Chris Pratt with Guardians, Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow, Keanu Reeves, Point Break, Colin Firth, Kingsman, Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon, and Matt Damon, The Bourne Identity. That's my final list. So I'm gonna grab the bongos. If I can reach it.
All right. So The Bourne Identity. You said you had ended up with Bourne Identity as 1?
Yeah.
And Lethal Weapon is 2?
Yeah.
All right. So I have Lethal Weapon 1, Bourne Identity 2.
Ooh. I feel like Matt Damon's the bigger actor there. He's actually the lead.
I love that you're pitching it, and it was a movie that was not on your list until not 3 minutes ago.
Live in the past, man. Let's focus on what's the present.
That's fine. I agree with that assessment. He's,
yeah.
Danny's co-lead versus actual lead.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah.
So that's fine. 1, 2.
Yeah, I have Kingsman at 3. What do you?
I've got that at 7.
Okay.
I've got Rock at 4. You've got that at 7.
The Rock now is at 7. Yes.
Okay, so Kingsman will win that. And Point Break, you have where?
4.
Well, I think Point Break wins. It's a 4-5.
Okay.
Point Break, the Kingsman, and then the Rock.
Okay.
What about we both have Bad Boys and Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is my 5.
All right, we'll do Edge of Tomorrow.
So you didn't put Pratt on yours? Or you did?
No.
Okay, well.
I threw on Krasinski just to talk about something different.
Sounds good. Okay, where are we at now?
We have 7, 8, 9, and 10 left to do. 4 spots. We have one commonality left in Bad Boys.
Okay, we just put it up there now.
All right, that's fine. So then what's your highest?
Matt Damon, Danny Glover, Colin Firth, Keanu Reeves, Emily Blunt, Chris Pratt. Guardians number 6.
All right, so Batman for my number 3.
Okay.
Beats that, and then Guardians.
Okay.
And what's your next highest after that?
Number
I have
9.
8.
I have
All right. Last of the Mohicans makes it.
Oh, nice. Daniel Day. Way to go. That's some bitch. Always slide in at the end. All right. Jeez, I don't even know how to tell the top 10 movies.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's going to be a word salad. It's a great topic. I just don't know how.
The top 10 movies with an actor who never did an action movie before. Yeah, that's the best I got. All right. At number 10.
What about unlikely action heroes or action stars?
Top 10 movies with an unlikely
Nah, no, you're right. Go ahead. Give us those sweet falsetto one more time.
The top 10 movies with an actor who never did an action.
Something like that before.
Oh, wait. How about this? Here we go. The top 10 movies with an actor who unlikely led an action movie. Yeah. How about that? Is that good? Sure. All right. At number 10.
The Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis.
At number 9.
Guardians of the Galaxy with Chris Pratt.
At number 8.
1989's Batman with Michael Keaton.
At number 7.
Bad Boys with Will Smith.
At number 6.
The Edge of Tomorrow with Emily Blunt.
At number 5.
The Rock with Nick Cage.
At number 4.
The Kingsman with Colin Firth.
At number 3.
Point Break, Keanu Reeves.
At number 2.
Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover.
And our number 1 movie with an actor who unlikely led an action film
was the Bourne Identity with Matt Damon.
There you go. Matt Damon. All right. What's Hasso's list?
Hasso's list is this. It says, Matt and John, thank you so much for choosing my topic. I may have done my list a bit different from you guys.
Okay.
In the more surprising the turn, the higher it was on my list.
Ooh. I like that. That's good.
For example, and this leads to my number 10, A Fistful of Dollars for Clint Eastwood.
Oh, wow.
He was already in a Western TV show. He just wasn't the stoic badass that he portrays in the film. So that's why I put it at number 10.
Okay.
At 9, he's got Wesley Snipes for Passenger 57.
Always bet on black. Yeah, all right.
I was already a fan of Snipes by this time with New Jack City and White Man Can't Jump, but to see him unlock some serious martial arts chops was fantastic. The movie is okay, but his performance at fighting elevate the entire thing. 8, Gerard Butler, 300.
Okay, I can see that. No one had really thought about him in any other way. That's good. Okay.
So Butler had been a sidekick in a few action films, but watching him step to the forefront and command the screen was incredible. However, a lot like Eastwood, the TV series Beowulf and Grendel kind of gave a hint of what he could do. Thus, this is lower on my list. 7 is Brad Pitt and Troy. Just out of the blue buffness and awesome sword fighting from a guy that had done rom-coms and dramedies. I also submit that the director's cut of this film gives more of his performance as the character.
I've never seen the director's cut of Troy.
Neither have I. 6 is Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I'm calling shenanigans.
Top Gun is an action movie. Come on.
Top Gun he's done like 3 action movies before.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the description on that. I'm just kidding. What is that you say? He's already in action movies? Kind of, but always sitting down. Top Gun sitting in a jet. Days of Thunder sitting in a car. This is the first time we really see Cruise step to the forefront as boots on the ground action hero. And obviously it works great since now there are nearly 10 of these films. 5, Matt Damon, The Bourne Identity.
Okay.
He was a huge fan of the books, and Damon was announced he laughed it off when the movie was released. He checked it out, and whoa, did Damon step it up. I was done after the second of the franchise. It shits on the books, but the first one is still a fun ride, and it was mainly because of what Damon's doing here. 4, he's got Keanu Reeves in Point Break.
Okay.
Ted F. and Ted is an action film that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If this dude's next action franchise changes the landscape of action films, he will be immortal. If he does it a third time, he will be a god. Oh, wait, he did. 3, he's got Jason Statham for The Transporter.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree there.
Yeah.
Okay. But
yeah.
He'd seen Snatch. He's great in that comedy misadventure. The one highlight is Jet Li and Statham is The one highlights Jet Li and Statham is just a sidekick. All the films that Statham has done at this point, you just don't get, you don't see this gear. Bam.
What about Ghosts of Mars? That's an action film.
That is an action film. Maybe people classify it as horror film first.
Oh, that was an action film.
Okay. 2, he's got Christian Bale for Equilibrium.
Oh, nobody. That's a terrible movie, and he's terrible.
I don't understand people that love it. I watched it. They're like, oh, it's The Matrix before The Matrix. Like, is it?
Yeah.
Did Reign of Fire come out before that?
Oh, good question. So Christian Bale, huh?
Christian Bale too.
First of all, he's in Henry V, but he's not the lead.
Is that an action film?
I don't know. You can make a case. Does it count that he was the voice in Pocahontas? Does that count?
I would say no.
Okay, fine. Midsommar, American Psycho. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, American Psycho.
Shaft?
It's not an action film, but
Reign of Fire is technically listed ahead of Equilibrium in 2002. So you'd have to go with Reign of Fire.
Yeah, I would say Reign of Fire then.
Yeah.
Which I have a soft spot in that movie, but it's flawed.
I think it's a good choice because, I mean, part of it, if you remove a couple of these, or you can argue away a couple of these, like Henry V, and because he's not the lead, he's just carrying the flag.
Yeah, I would say Empire of the Sun, you'd have a closer.
Right.
But it's a war film.
Yeah, it's a war film. So, all right. I like those choices. Good. It's good.
But he writes, where in the Everlyn fuck did Bale come from with this? The kid from Newsies, the sappy guy from Little Women, the narcissist from American Psycho. We all knew he was crazy level with his acting, but this. According to the director commentary, aside from the acrobatics, Bale does all the fighting. In retrospect, this film is the perfect audition for Batman. And finally, at number 1, he's got Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Yeah, which we had to exclude.
He says, I mean, come on. Fast-talking PI who do nothing but goof off and try to get into Sybil Shepherd's pants. Right. This crazy right turn after a few rom-coms just puts Willis on the map for decades. And unlike some of the other films on this list, the entire film is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And then he has honorable mentions: Swayze in Roadhouse, Cavill in Immortals, and Harrison Ford with Star Wars. And then he actually signed the end of it.
Of course he did.
And then scanned this and sent it back to us. Dear God, I love the professionalness of this.
So crazy. Yeah, so crazy. But yeah, this was his reaction to the Bruce Willis when we cut it off. Oh, shit.
Well, look, I mean, you interpret the list however you interpret it.
Yeah, of course. That's the fun of the show. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're the one that came up with it. So technically, you're closer to right, I guess. We just read it a different way. But thank you, Jasso, for that. It's a great topic. It led to a great discussion. I think I could easily see this doing something similar to this in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time for shout outs.
Yeah.
So we do this once a month. It's a thank you to all our patrons that support us over at patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10 at $5 and above. We shout your name out at the end of the month. And thank you so much to everybody that supports us. It's meant a lot over the years. And I guess I'll go ahead and start us.
I got to bring it up here. I had downloaded it, but now I can't seem to find it. So I'm going to download it again, and then I'll tab it up. Or I'll just pull it up.
Sure. You want a second?
Because I got to find it now. God damn it.
I can resend. I just emailed it to you, but saying on the download, you got to find it.
Here it is. No, I've gotten more emails since you emailed, so it just kind of pushed it down the chain.
Oh, someone humble bragging over
No, I'm just...
I get emails too, man.
I'm so man. All right, here we go. Let me bring it up.
Literally just got one. Go ahead and delete it. Nope, got 2.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Things are looking up.
Things are looking up. All right, here we go. We're starting with Harold Beerold. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Who starts, me or you?
Go ahead. You already said his name. So say it again. Give him the full Rocha package.
I shall. Harold Beerold. I hope I'm saying that right.
Mike Chaput.
Drew Gorzinski.
The Jub Zone.
Hey-o, Jason McDonald.
Roby or Robbie.
All right. Pele Cole.
Eric Taylor.
Deepak Mawar.
David Stephen.
Andrew Robinson.
Francisco Ramirez.
Michael Bauer.
Colton Thompson.
Henrik Winterland.
Callie Yonkin.
Lachlan Skinner.
Charles Kim.
Joseph Curran.
Fred Castillo.
Charles J. Clark.
Zachariah Kaufman.
JD.
Francisco J. Torres,
Connor Teal.
Michael D. Dyke,
I should say JD is Jeff Dicken. I apologize. Tim Reimert.
Dominic Greaves,
Eric Bruin.
Matt Simmons,
Kyle Beckworth.
Jeremy Bowers,
James Petty.
Nick Francis,
Christopher Brockman.
Blake Gaunt,
Cameron Chapman.
Alex Russell,
Paul Cree.
Stacy Flores,
Luke Allison.
Kristen Kurtz,
Gareth Weldon.
Timothy R. Williams,
Nick Baldwin.
JIC 317,
Matt Kearns.
Chanae Taylor,
Ahmad Ali.
Darren Bush,
Angela Dashner.
Drake Fromsdorf,
Josh Lawrence.
Chelsea Lewis,
Adelardo Fuente.
Reagan Lovig,
Rodrigo Valverde III.
Andre Konstantinescu,
Steve Schlackemeyer.
Catherine Samuels,
Houston Bodley.
Roque Ariana,
Maurice Robinson.
Brandon Caridi,
Marlon T.A.Z. Badfish.
Ravi Prasad,
Joe Farrelly.
Ben Cartwright,
Josh Murphy.
Michael Orikar,
Josh Sachs.
George Menchaca,
Dale Varley.
Chris Consiglio,
Wayne Murphy.
Ashley Prowse,
Johannes Schmidt.
Sam Fernando,
Kevin Fuss.
Ryan McKenna,
Brian Akins.
Alexander Marzonia,
Thank you, Alex. Garth Wisenant.
Mike Barrington,
Noel Kelleher.
Jim Payne,
DMB himself. David Mitchell Baker.
Andy Ortiz,
John Keefe.
Kristen Smith,
Matthew Lee Cravens.
Marcel Behrman,
James Trapani.
Drew Enns,
The pretty Dan Nye.
the man himself, Mr. Matthew Jasso,
Seth Shearer.
Andrew Marker,
Chris Jones.
Luke Larson,
Chris Cabrera.
Robert Haley,
And Anthony Casanova.
and that is everybody. Thank you so much to all our patrons. You guys mean the world to us, and we hope you're staying safe. Everything's going well for you out there, and we hope you enjoyed your shout out.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. That's our list. That's our shout outs. Thank you all so much for joining us here for a brand new episode of the Top 10. Those of you who join us live, we really appreciate it. Those are the $10 and above patrons. We do the show live every second and fourth Thursday of the month. We had to adjust schedule because I was at Cinemacon. So thank you everyone who joined us on this Monday live. But if you would donate $10 and above or support the show at $10 and above, you get that as a perk. Matt, where can people find you and everything that's going on, man? What do we have to tell them?
For the show, if you want to follow on Twitter, it's at Top 10 Show. And if you want to go to Instagram and YouTube, it's / the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. So please hit us up over there. And you can follow me at Matt Knost. If you would like to check out another movie show, I do one called Settle the Score or NBA Action. I got Dropping Dimes, and you can find those anywhere you find podcasts.
There you go. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, all one word there, and my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, and my podcasts, The Cinephiles and the Geek Buddies, as well out there for you all to enjoy. All right, let's get on out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Have yourselves a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Top 10. Peace. Bye-bye.